The most game-changing, revolutionary beadlock to hit the market, and it's so simple that it really makes you think, why didn't I think of that? Hey, what's up guys? Josh from TroBuild. ICON Alloys has just introduced their brand new industry exclusive DOT compliant Rebound Pro with their patented interlock beadlock technology as the newest and hottest beadlock to hit the market ever. And here's why. And guys, real quick, just before we jump into our video, we just wanted to let you know that at the time of this video we do currently have these ICON Rebound Pros in stock and have already placed another order to bring more in because of how hot they are. So just remember when checking out from the cart on TroBuild to check out a firm and all the different options that work best for your budget. So then, what's the hype with these new ICON Rebound Pros? Are they really a game changer? Well, to start, for all the weekend warriors who daily drive your Jeep, Toyota, truck, SUV, CUV, or whatever it is you may have, these Rebound Pros are DOT compliant, meaning that they are approved to run on your daily driver according to the guidelines and standards set forth by the Department of Transportation, and you won't have to worry about Johnny Law giving you a hard time, or even more importantly, if you are involved in an accident, which hopefully that never happens, but if it does and you're running these pros instead of a conventional beadlock, there is a lot less of a chance that you're gonna end up being subjected to a possible lawsuit due to the type of wheels that you're running. And guys, unlike your typical bolt-on beadlock, ring beadlocks, even if there was some sort of failure with one of the bead retention pins, worst case scenario is that the air in the tire is gonna slowly leak out and the low air pressure warning light is gonna come on long before the tire even goes flat. Even if all the pins were to come out at the same time, which they're not, but even if they do, it's still not gonna cause a blowout. I mean, you'll probably notice right away that your tire just went flat, but by that time you've probably already pulled off to the side of the road, which the chances of even one bead retention pin coming out is highly unlikely, let alone all of the pins coming out. Now, if it was a conventional outer beadlock and the hardware failed and the beadlock ring came flying off, the tire would also come off the outer side of the wheel and could be much more catastrophic than a wheel that would just slowly leak air. So safer and DOT approved, two major wins already, and we're just getting started. So what else then? Well, how about, do they work? Abso-effing-lutely they work. I would even argue that the new Interlock Rebound Pros work better than any other single-sided wheel beadlock out there. And that's not just because the Rebound Pros keep the tire bead seated and prevent it from debeading, but they're lighter and there's less hardware, therefore less unsprung weight, allowing your suspension to perform better while reducing the amount of physical stress on your driveline components, which is allowing less carnage, wear and tear, replacement costs of those components, and etc. Less wheel and tire weight also means a better ride on the road and even an increase in fuel mileage when applicable. Besides being lighter than your conventional beadlock, there's less maintenance, being that there's less hardware to worry about and no need to ever have to retorque the bead retention pins. Well, unless you remove them for some reason, then they'll need to be retorqued to 20 foot-pounds of torque when you go to reinstall them. But otherwise, it's a set 'em and forget 'em type of situation. And since we're already on the subject of these little bead retention pins or bolts, let's take a closer look at what makes them specifically engineered for this exact particular bead retention situation. First guys, these 16 retention bolts that come with your new Rebound Pros are specially constructed from a high-strength alloy and have been what is referred to as thermochemically treated, specifically for an extreme resistance to corrosion. However, the way that these pins are thermochemically treated also improves the ductility strength and elongation resistance properties of the alloy as well. Basically guys, just taking an already high strength bolt and making it wear-proof, corrosion-proof, and so that you will never have to worry about one of these pins shearing off due to extreme abuse, even over the life that you own your wheels. The other neat thing about these are that the end that sticks up through the wheel itself is carefully machined so that the end is smooth and tapered off, and the threads don't stick up more than an 1/8 inch or so past the inner edge of the wheel, so you're not going to have the full bead of the tire rubbing up against the sharp threads of the pins, which would eventually cause wear on the bead. Instead, it's just the smooth part of the bolt that will be contacting the tire bead when aired down and under side load pressure on the sidewall of the tire. We also measured the distance between the inside of the rim of the wheel to the pin, and it's about 3/4 of an inch. But the nice thing is that these pins angle up behind the bead of the tire, and even if you're running a heavy tire with a really thick bead, it's not going to prevent you from running it because these pins will angle up and behind the bead of the tire. Another thing to note about these pins is that before you install the tire, to make sure that each and every one of these pins has this little O-ring installed on the pin first. These little O-rings are no joke either, as they are SAE J1926 grade Goodyear O-rings and originally developed for high pressure hydraulic application use situations. And just make sure the O-ring is seated in its specifically designed seat just below the bolt head, and give it a drop of oil first just before torquing down the bolt to the recommended 20 foot-pounds of torque to ensure a proper seal and that you don't accidentally thread the O-ring into the threads when tightening down these pins. Also, along with putting a dab of oil on the O-ring, make sure to put a dab of anti-seize on the threads as well. Especially, and maybe a little bit extra, if you plan on driving with these Rebound Pros in the winter, as the anti-seize will surely save your ass a whole hell of a lot of work and time the next time you go to remove the pins. Also, before mounting the tire, thread all of the pins into their respective holes first so that the air won't leak out through all the empty holes once you go to add air after mounting the tire. And make sure to start the threads by hand so that way you don't cross thread them and get yourselves in a bit of trouble before you even get started. Once you have the pins started in the threads by hand, then take a 12.7/16 inch socket and a socket wrench to thread the pins in. As being brand new like they are, it may take more than hand strength to run them in. Next, just ensure the pins are not protruding above the surface of the wheel bead hump, or so that the top of the pin is flush with the inside of where the bead seat is. This will still allow the tire to be mounted without the pins interfering on both or either the inside and outside part of the wheel when mounting the tire. And then once the tire is mounted, a fast and ample air supply will be needed, as some air will want to bypass the bolts when trying to seat the bead. But after we just had this BFG KM3 mounted, it really didn't leak very much air at all around the threads of the pins, so we really don't feel there would be any type of issue getting enough air in the tire to seat the beads. Once both the inner and outer tire beads are properly seated, the next step is going to be to remove the valve core, let all of the air back out of the tire, and once it's fully deflated, then take an air nozzle, blow out any debris that might be in the seat of where the pins tighten down to make sure there isn't going to be anything that may interfere with a proper seat of the O-ring and bolt head. After that, run all the bolts in and torque them to 20 foot-pounds torque, inflate the tire to the recommended air pressure, and balance it as normal, and you're good to go. Overall, a pretty simple process, plus ICON includes a really nice descriptive instructional sheet along with every wheel as well. But keep in mind, guys, that when you purchase these ICON Pros from us, or any wheel brand for that matter, and package them with a set of tires, that we mount the tire on the wheels for you, take care of the anti-seize, oil on the O-rings, torquing the pins, and balancing them, all at no additional cost to you. And guys, ICON Alloys has been researching, engineering, designing, and testing out these new Rebound Pros for almost 2 years now, and even had them on their Jeep JLU out at the Easter Jeep Safari event in Moab this year, where myself and the Trailboat team, Zach and Fred, had a chance to witness firsthand just how phenomenally well these new interlock beadlock systems work at keeping the tire on the wheel without even losing 1 pound of pressure the entire week that we were there. Caleb, the main man behind the idea of the interlock system, was also the main man behind the wheel of the Rebound Pro equipped JLU, and he definitely wasn't shy about testing the Rebound Pros beyond what we thought were their limits, and I would even go as far as saying that it looked like he was literally trying to purposely debead the tires off the wheels, but at the end of the week, the only component that failed was the front differential drain bolt backed out. Fortunately, it was a relatively simple fix, but besides that minor hiccup, everything else went better than we could have ever expected with the entire trip, and especially the new Rebound Pros. But what we really want to know is, what do you guys think of them? What questions do you guys have about them? What concerns or comments do you have? And if there is anything else that you would like to know about them, definitely make sure and let us know in the comments below. Also guys, for the different finishes that they are available in, the different bolt patterns, pricing, or any other specs that you may be looking for, definitely make sure and head on over to our website at trobuiltoffroad.com or by clicking the link in the description. All right guys, well that is all that we have for you in today's video on the new ICON Rebound Pros. And if you enjoy these types of videos, make sure and thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so that way you guys can hold on to the ride with us. As always guys, we appreciate all of you for watching and all of your support. I'm Josh from Trobuilt, and we'll see you guys out on the trails.